Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Cheyenne Malone, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Hi everyone, I'm Cheyenne Malone. You are watching yet another edition of The Small Business Show. Glad to have you. So finding those first clients when you decide to start a business is often one of the biggest challenges new entrepreneurs face, right? Well, here now with some insight on how to, not get around it, make life a little easier, let's call it. Beate Chelette, the growth architect, founder of the Women's Code, author, and keynote speaker. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
Glad to have you again. So talk to me about this, right? You know, when you think about it, there's a lot of different mindsets around corporate America, small business, business ownership. We were discussing off camera a little bit about people, on the edge, on the fence, right? They've been laid off. Do they go and start their own thing, or then they get hired back? Is there one that's safer than the other? Where do you direct people, or if they want to thrive in one over the other, is that where you kind of push them to or encourage?
Yeah, so it's all about encouragement. It's really about helping people to make a decision. As a business consultant, I think that my job really is to get people to the crossroads where there is only a left or a right, and for them to say yes or no. Because a maybe is never a decision. That's an infinity loop, and that remains you at the exact spot you always are. So the perception really that you need to have when you look at corporate America versus being a boss on your own is that there is no safety. And we believe, when our parents tell us or society tells us, get a job, at least you're safe, you have benefits, you have vacation and all these things. And we now find out that that's really not true, because corporations will only do what they have to do. But the minute they don't have to do that anymore, they'll let you go and they find somebody that's less expensive, or they close the department. There is absolutely no loyalty. So I think the decision that I'm encouraging your viewers to really go into and say, who am I? What am I bringing to the table? What's unique about me? What's a super skill that I have? And then determine, is there a value to that so I can make the leap?
I like that, super skill. Okay, so if you do decide, I want to go out my own, I want to be an entrepreneur, I've always, had a passion for X, Y, and Z. What do you think, what do you recommend should be your first step when you're looking to maybe, find those clients? Because initially that's hard. And when you get more traction quicker, I feel like it builds confidence, it motivates you, and then you can go, farther quicker in the right direction.
100%. Well, we came up with a little bit of a trick here, because that's the first question that anybody ever asked me. Is like, well, is there even a market for that? How much money can I even make? I mean, could I be a consultant? Could I be a coach? So we created a quiz that's at whatsyourtalentworth.com, where I literally created a profit calculator, a mathematical formula that calculates based upon how long you've been working, what your expertise is, the scarcity of your skill or the wide availability. And then it comes up with a formula and it crunches numbers. And within like 5-10 minutes, you'll get a number back and it says, this is your actual earning potential. And the reason this is so important to start out with is you need to know if there's a market for this. Mm-hmm. And if you say that I put in my numbers and I get, let's say, a number like $150,000, $250,000, $500,000 as a result, then there is a market for that. So that's the first step. Just check out on whether or not what you know how to do has actually value in the market. And then there, of course, are a couple more steps.
Which are?
So then you need to figure out what is your business model. And a business model is, are you a solopreneur? Are you going to go out on your own? Are you going to build a team? Is it a technology solution? So for example, let's say if I'm in IT or cybersecurity, you could become a cybersecurity coach or consultant. So that means that you work on a contract, you find clients, and then you do the contract, and then you move on to the next. You could have a business model that says, I want to run a cybersecurity company and I want multiple clients. I'm going to be the boss. I'm going to have 5 people working for me. For this model, you need startup capital and all kinds of different things. We call this turning your talent into a business, to really think through some of these steps on what is this going to look like, and do that before you start. And do you want me to just go over the other two steps
Sure.
as well?
Sure.
Yeah. And then the next step is identify what the key challenges are going to be in the market. That right now is probably a lot of competition. There are a lot of people that are going out on their own right now because they've either been laid off or they are sick and tired of what's been happening with corporate America, and they want to at long last be their own boss and not work for anybody but themselves. So what's a competitive scenario where you are at? How many other competitors are? What are they offering? What are their pricing? So you really need to look into and say, do I have enough money? What's my fastest way to the cash? What's my airtight avatar? Who is my ideal client? Do I know these clients already? How do I create a minimum viable a product, a minimum viable offer, which then is the next and the final step is you create an offer that you're testing before you even build it. You want to make sure that before you put all this energy and money into building a product, a service, or renting a space, that what you want is actually something that has a good product market fit.
And what are some of the most common mistakes you see entrepreneurs make when they're trying to attract their first clients initially?
I think that because they don't know what the question is that they should be asking, they go and do a Google search. And then the best search engine optimized internet marketer with some amazing sounding, ethical, persuasive offer shows up. And instead of making a choice to say, I built a business model and now I'm seeing on whether or not that even fits into my business model, they say, oh, that sounds like something I could do. And so they follow breadcrumbs instead of understanding what their destination is, that's based upon what the business model is that even works for them. As a mother, and I'm going to give you an example, any mother with small children that are going to school cannot work past 4:45. Why? Because she has to go and pick up her kids. Otherwise, she is trading this business for quality time, for family time, and then she's going to burn out and she's going to hate her life and something is going to blow up. So you want to design this ahead of time and say, in order for me to do this my way, so it fits me, how many hours do I need to work? How much vacation do I need? And what is realistic for me to actually do in this amount of time that I can allocate for this? And how do I need to set it up so that I can make the money I need to make?
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Okay, so new business owners, a lot of times, often they fear rejection, right, when they're approaching potential clients. What advice do you have there for trying to overcome this fear?
So it's a very simple answer. If you have 100 people that you have conversations with, does it matter on whether 10 or 20 or 30 say no? Because you still got 70. But people don't have enough in the pipeline. And so if there's one client and if you don't close that particular client, then everything stands and falls on this. That's the problem. That's where the problem happens. So in the beginning, as you build up your business, make sure that you pay attention to how do I build up the pipeline so when somebody says no, that it doesn't affect you in the sense that you say, okay, I get it. This person's not ready right now. But this goes back to the original mindset, Cheyenne, that I talked about. And that is our job is to make people make decisions, not have them convinced of something. My job is to say, can you do this on your own or not? And if you cannot do this on your own, am I the right one to work with or not? And if I simplify to these two simple questions, I can never be upset if somebody says no, because then I've done my job.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. I always say coach the person, not the problem, right?
There you go.
And
you know.
Yeah.
You know how it works.
Any final thoughts for us?
Yeah, just don't take it personal. It is business. It's a personal extension of your passion and your purpose, but really step into serving and helping people. And when you come from that perspective and you focus on the people that you can help and help serve and focus on finding those people, you're going to be a lot happier versus worrying about on whether or not this one particular person is going to sign up.
Beate Chelette, the growth architect, founder of the Women's Code, author, and keynote speaker. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Cheyenne Malone, exclusively on ASBN.com.